Hi, this is Janet Diane Moria-Swerdlow, and this is our mini podcast for the beginning of October 2018. And as you can see, I am here solo because Space Commander Stuart A. Swerdlow, Honorable, Reverend, whatever else he is, Sir, I think, and Doctor, and lots of other things, he is out commanding the Space Cadet Club right now. So with that said, it's too bad because we have a lot of interesting stories to tell you about today. And the first one is starting with tampons. And the reason I'm starting with that is because women's periods have been in the news for a long time now, and they're starting to make it more prominent and prevalent no matter where you go and what you do. So let's go to the state of Virginia. And Virginia apparently put in a new policy that would have barred women who visit inmates at state prisons from wearing tampons or menstrual cups. However, Virginia is now suspending this newly introduced policy because it's gotten a lot of backlash from it. Apparently, contraband is smuggled into the prisons this way, and therefore the prison systems were trying to do something to protect the inmates from getting the contraband. Long story short, of course, everyone is now saying that it violates the privacy rights of female visitors. Apparently, it was decided before it was suspended that the facilities would offer pads to women who are wearing tampons while visiting a prison so the tampons don't appear as possible contraband on a body scan. Now, generally, when potential contraband is seen on a body scan, visitors are offered the choice of a strip search, does not sound like fun, or leaving the prison without visiting with an inmate. So, therefore, this new policy aimed to help visitors avoid that altogether. And it's also was stated by the prison system that offenders in Virginia have died of drug overdoses while inside our prisons, and it's our job to keep the offenders and the staff as safe as we can. Well, that makes sense. However, this is kind of an odd policy, but maybe this is what they have to do under today's guidelines. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. And moving along, of course, to Fashion Week. Lots of strange things happened there. Reported on a few of them already. Well, the newest thing, which is splashed all over the internet, you've probably seen it, is the fashion show that was put on by GCDS. And in this particular fashion show, the models actually wore a prosthetic third breast sandwiched between their own breasts. Then they wore crop tops and sports bras to show off the bizarre prosthetics. And their explanation was that this is a possible look that human bodies might do in the future. So we'll see about that. And then the other thing I have been talking to you about on and off is about the robot sex brothels. And usually, I think the last one I talked to you about was opening in the UK. Well, guess what? We're getting one here in the US, apparently, in Houston, Texas, of all places, in the heart of the Bible Belt. Apparently, according to this article, that the sex robot brothel has plans to open within the next couple of weeks. And they got this information from a business partner for Canadian sex doll rental company called Kinky S Dolls. Apparently, the company has a brothel already in Toronto, Canada, where the dolls rent for $120 per hour. Their website states, "Our Love Dolls' goal is to provide intense pleasure. We provide deep and satisfying experiences both in the way we feel and move. We allow you to fulfill all your fantasies without any limitations. We feel just like the real thing. We are always fresh for you. We get sanitized with antibacterial products after every session." I guess that's important to know as well. Well, anyway, obviously the business has drawn opposition, and petitioners are lining up to sign petitions to prevent the business from opening its doors. However, local legal analyst says that there is little the city or opponents can do because there's a difference between human prostitution and artificial prostitution, and there's no law that prohibits this as long as it's done where there's no public view of it while it's happening. Then this local legal analyst went on to say that the city could deem the business a public nuisance and ultimately push its location to a de facto red light district where other sexually oriented businesses already exist, but it would not be able to prevent it from operating entirely. He said that businesses may be offensive, but they're not otherwise illegal, and so therefore they are protected by the First Amendment. Now, the news service was told that Kinky S Doll's owner would be available for an interview last week to discuss the company's expansion to Houston, but the phone calls went unanswered and were not returned prior to broadcast. So here we go. And then speaking of nudity. Now, I have told you before, and I reported through the years, that when the things first came out about showing women's breasts publicly. So what they would do is they would show a side with some of the women's breasts showing, or the front, or the back, or underneath, or on top, on and on and on. Now, basically, they're basically naked with a little bit of covering over the top of them. Well, in my opinion, they're doing the same thing with men. And what got my attention was an ad circulating on Facebook which showed a side view of a black male model wearing white Nike shoes. And the model was totally naked, but it was a side view, and he was cast in the shadows, so basically you just saw, just a side. And that's what they started with women. And of course now we have full frontal views, full back views, everything and whatever you want to see. It's out there anyway. So I thought that was very interesting that now men, and I told you that first they're going to do it with women, now they're going to do it with men. Anyway, they're calling this particular company that put this particular ad out that one of the leading Haitian commercial photographers and publicists in the entertainment industry, Martin Bien-Aimé, who founded the Bien-Aimé Agency, a boutique public relations company best known for its creative photography style and powerful, effective branding services for aspiring male models. So, like women, it just goes to show you men are willing to get naked too, and they pay them enough money, and they do. Now, I've also been telling you and trying to remind you that animals are animals, and we've talked about this a lot because, you'll write in, you'll say, well, vegetarians are this and vegetarians are that. How can you eat meat? How can you kill an animal? How can you kill a plant? You have to know the energy cycle, and this is what people do not understand. I see energy, Stuart sees energy. We teach our clientele to see energy. That's what we do. We're not the only ones who can do it. Actually, everybody already does it, but they don't know that they're doing it. We teach you how to slow down so that you can see exactly what we see and decide for yourself. So that's why when you say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, well, if you don't see energy fields, then you don't know what you're talking about. I don't care what people look like on the outside. I have seen very athletic people who look to the naked eye extremely very fit, but you know what? Next thing, they drop dead of a heart attack, something happens to them, and they're dead. So they might look physically fit, but unless you can read energy, you don't know what you're talking about. So please don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? Anyway, and as I said, yes, you may disrespectfully disagree, and we've much better now. No name calling with us, no name calling with each other as well, but you're welcome to disagree. So speaking of animals are animals, I've also warned you about being respectful of their wild nature. And here we have a female tourist in Zimbabwe from Germany who was among a group of vacationers who spotted a herd of elephants entering Manapools National Park last week. 49 years old, was trampled to death by one of the animals and died when she got out of the car to get a better picture. So that's why I'm telling you, you have to be respectful, but animals are animals. Even people's pets destroy them. But what was interesting to me is there seems to be a string of, at least they're being reported, maybe they weren't before, but I've reported on several of them. One of them was a U.S. scientist and her young son were trampled by a giraffe in South Africa recently. Back in May of 2018, a giraffe killed a South African film director, only 47 years old. And then, of course, in South Africa, near Johannesburg, a lion actually mauled a man who bottle fed him as a cub. So these are animals, and you have to be respectful. And here in the U.S., I've told you, people get out of their cars. They're in Yellowstone. They see the bison. I've seen them do the same things with moose. It's just animals are dangerous, and even your own pets in your house can attack. So you have to know what you're dealing with. Now, more craziness in the world, as if it doesn't get any crazier some days, and then it does, right? Well, I've also been talking to you about cloning for several years, and I've told you about when you see twins and triplets that are now oftentimes produced through IVF fertilization processes, and that is preparing you for clones. Well, guess what? There is a rapper, and I never heard of him before. Maybe you know his name. His name is Kid Buu, I guess, B-U-U, who claims he's a clone like Gucci Mane and Michael Jackson. He says, quote, "I believe in a new norm." Kid Buu is a rapper who is named after a Dragon Ball Z character, also known as Wakashi 58. Now the entertainer apparently is telling people about how he was born. He appeared on Vlad TV and he revealed that he's a clone. Now this concept came right out of the gate when he was asked about his hometown. Vlad TV wanted to clarify that he was in fact born in New Jersey but grew up in South Florida. Boo agreed with a straight face, and honestly I don't know what his real name is, but I'm sure no parent is going to name him Kid Boo, although these days you never know. Anyway, Boo agreed with a straight face, and then he went on to say, "Yes, originally. My first gen. I'm a second gen now. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonaid in Canada. My model number is 0112568 for anyone who wants to see the registration of cloning." Then he went on to say he's Sicilian and Puerto Rican, adding that those are his two genomes. And he claims this information was made available to him through stealing documents before escaping the cloning facility. And he continues with more to say that most of his memory was wiped clean to allow for whatever new program was made to proceed smoothly. And now I haven't seen anything more about the story. If you have, let me know, because I thought, okay, this is another crazy thing out of the gate, but it is preparing people for what is to come and actually already exists, but now they're telling you about it, okay? And of course, it's too bad that Stuart's not here to hear these next couple of stories, because the first one is called Poo Poo Paper. That's right, Poo Poo Paper. Speaking of elephants and wild animals, there is a company who actually makes paper from the poo fibers from elephants, cows, horses, donkeys, Thai buffaloes, pandas, and others. I don't know what those are. According to their website, that these animals are herbivores with highly fibrous diets of bamboo, sugarcane, grasses, banana trees, leaves, twigs, fruits, and other various plants and vegetations. Now, because they have inefficient digestive systems, they don't break down all the fibers that they eat, so the animals leave these fibers behind in their poop. So they collect the poo from the various local places, whether it's the sanctuaries or whether it's in farms or dairies or stables. So they collect the poo, they bring it in, they clean and they boil it in various stages. Then this takes out all the dirt, the mud, the leaves. Then the remaining fibers are boiled to a pulp. But don't worry, they don't use any bacteria. They just keep boiling, I guess, till it's clean, whatever that means. And then they use that boiled water to water their own trees, flowers, and gardens. Now, apparently, then after they're done with this step, then they mix and blend the poo pulp fibers with other fibers that are non-wood, which include corn stalks, pineapple husk, hay, banana tree trunks, mulberry bark, and others depending on seasonal availability. And from there, they mix and blend. They add coloring if they need to, because they claim it's an off-white mixture. Like, remember, it's poo-poo paper, and it's made by both hand and by machine. So there you have it, poo-poo paper. And if it doesn't even get any more bizarre, I don't know if you saw what Stuart actually posted it on his Facebook page and shared it to mine, about a woman in Maine with a company called Turdy, T-I-R-D-Y, Turdy Works. Because guess what? She makes things from moose turds, T-U-R-D-S. Apparently, I don't know where she got the idea from, but she makes things like fecal people and a poo-poo clock instead of a cuckoo clock, and jewelry, and about anything else you want she can make. Apparently, she sells each turd, as she calls them, for $5 a piece. So how does she get them? Well, she tracks the moose out into the woods, and every time that they poo, they produce 200 to 400 pieces. And then they go off, she said, about 50 yards from the first place in some direction, which she looks for, and they apparently do it again. So if she's got, let's say, 300 pieces of poo, and she sells them for $5 a piece, that's $1,500 US every time that the moose do their thing. So anyway, it's called Turdy Works. It's actually a company. When I first saw this, I thought really it has to be a joke, but it's not. And if you are friends on our Facebook page, I have room on my page, Stuart doesn't, but you can maybe scroll through and see Turdy Works, and apparently she has a Facebook page out there. She's from Maine, and she does mail ordering, so no matter where you are in the world, you can get your own piece of moose poop jewelry to wear or for a gift for somebody if that's what you want to do. With that said, I want to remind you about these two books. Stuart Says White Owl Legends. If you like Native American, this is great. This is actually a series of stories that was given to a spiritualist trance medium who my dad learned from back in the 40s and was translated, we'll say, interpreted by Stuart when he actually was reading them the spirit of the Chief White Owl. And the spiritualist trance medium came in and told him what the stories actually mean. So it's an archetypal story of creation. It's very fascinating. So these are great books and great gifts for the holidays that are upcoming. If you want to know more about Stuart's story and a little bit about me, you can read Montauk Alien Connection, True World History, of course. If you're preparing for the January class, both of these are great. True Blood, Blue Blood, True Blood, True World History. These three you can fit into one envelope. And of course, to take control of your own mind before somebody else takes control of it for you, this is a great series, Hyperspace Helper, True Reality of Sexuality, and 13 Cubed. So we always have lots of things out there for you to read. And if you're not familiar with our work, I highly suggest that you get a membership, less than $1 a day if you buy for a year, less than 50 cents a day. And we study on our blogs and we help you, and you can communicate with Stuart and I on a daily basis. We take good care of our clientele because we support those people who support us. So if you have questions, YouTube's not the place to do it. Facebook isn't the place to do it. We have a Q&A blog on our site. That's where we answer your questions as long as they're of interest to the general reading membership. So expansions.com, get a membership, like, comment, subscribe, and share our YouTube page. And if you like our Facebook page, we also give you an additional 8% off any of our products and services. So with that said, I will see you most likely in January as well as next time. Take care. Bye-bye.